We got us a Big Ten showdown right now. We got the number 8 Oregon Ducks heading at 3 time zones to play the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Oregon comes into this game favored by 15.5 points. The over-under is 61.5. But the biggest question surrounding this entire game is, can the Oregon Ducks bounce back from that Indiana loss, or will they be Penn State and the whole season fall apart? We got to talk about it. It is going to take place 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 3:30 Pacific on Big Ten Network. Oregon comes in number 8, 5-1. They have been dominating this season. Wins at Penn State, Oklahoma State, Northwestern, until they ran into a little hiccup against the Indiana Hoosiers. And Rutgers started the season off 3-0. And then they had losses at Minnesota and at Washington as well. This is their first ever meeting because, of course, it's a Big Ten rivalry game. Now that there's a bunch of conference realignment. But before we get fully started, I'm George Wrighster, former NFL player, former college football player, and college football analyst for CW. Thank you for being here and being one of us. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and get notifications, and most importantly, share the show. The biggest question surrounding this game is this upset potential. Can the Scarlet Knights have an opportunity to catch the Ducks vulnerable? Because we already know that Big Ten teams going more than 2 time zones have absolutely struggled. Now, last year, Oregon did not have any trouble when they went to Purdue after the big Ohio State win, but this is a loss. And we have seen the wheels fall off of Penn State. We saw that they weren't even the same team playing against UCLA or even playing against Northwestern. So can Dan Lanning get his team to be ready to play ball after what was, a home loss, which is rare in Autzen Stadium? But let's start where we always start. We got head coach versus head coach. We got Dan Lanning versus Greg Schiano. Now, Dan Lanning's team, they are premium on talent. They have been recruiting very well. But this is also a very young and inexperienced football team in terms of cohesiveness together. Now, they have been playing. They started the season off absolutely hot. They started on a tear. But this is where coaches get paid the big money, is you have to have your team emotionally, physically, spiritually, and mentally ready for whatever takes place. You got to have them ready to go on the East Coast, because if you do not, you will fall victim. The Ducks can fall victim to the East Coast travel and start slow. And Rutgers is the type of team that if you start slow, if you turn the ball over, they will jump on you. They can have the opportunity to upset you and derail your entire season while getting theirs on the type of track that they want to. Because their head coach, Greg Schiano, he has improved this team a lot. But this is still a huge talent gap between this Rutgers team and a top 10 roster. So, of course, Oregon has the edge in personnel. But these are 2 tough-minded head coaches, and Rutgers wants to play a physical football game. Oregon wants to play a physical football game, and this is the exact type of game in terms of, if you are the Ducks, it's not a quote-unquote get-right game, but this is also the type of game that presents some challenges that are necessary. Think about this with your kids. I think as part of being a good parent is that you want your kid to face some adversity. You want them to have to overcome some challenges, but you just don't want those challenges to kill them. That's what this game is for the Oregon Ducks. This is a challenge because you have travel. You have the emotions of a loss last week. You have to rebound after not playing your best. You got to go to the doctor. You got to get better. All of those things. So this is an opportunity to do so. But at the same time, Rutgers is not going to lay down. They are going to put up resistance, which means you can't just throw your helmets out there and win. So let's look at this quarterback battle. For the Oregon Ducks, you have Dante Moore, who's thrown for almost 1,400 yards this season, 15 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And last game versus Indiana was his worst game of the season. Only 186 passing yards, and he did have 2 interceptions as well. And this was the first time that he had been under assault all year. He got sacked 6 times, and some of those sacks were a result of his own doing, and some of them were because of Indiana absolutely pressuring the offensive line and causing the picture not to be very clear. This is going to be a rebound opportunity for Dante Moore because you looked at him at the end of last game. That wasn't a good look. So this is where you have to bow up, show everybody what's in here. You got to show them that there's that dog in there. And I believe that he's going to have a chance to do that. Now let's talk about Rutgers quarterback Athan Kaliakmanis. He's thrown for almost 1,400 yards as well, 13 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And you might look at these stat lines and be like, damn, these quarterbacks are pretty much the same. Not at all. There's a huge talent gap, but Kaliakmanis is a guy that can hurt you. You can't just think that because he's got a Rutgers jersey on that this dude cannot play. He threw for 386 yards in the last game versus Washington, and he was taking shots down the field. He was making plays with his legs. And if you are an Oregon fan, think of this game like the Indiana game, except for the light version, because Rutgers, they are physical. They are tough. They have a quarterback who can hurt you with their legs, and they're going to try to do a lot of slants and quick outs and things like that to keep you in behind the sticks. So this is Indiana light, and this is a program that is ascending right now. Now, they don't have the same resources and everything else, but this is a team that you should be taking very seriously. Let's look at Oregon's offense versus Rutgers' defense. Oregon's offense is looking to get off the schneid right now because in the last 8 quarters versus Penn State and then Indiana, they've only scored in 3 of those quarters. Now, granted, they missed 2 field goals in 2 of those quarters, so it would be 5 out of 8, which wouldn't look that bad, but they've only scored touchdowns in 2 of those quarters, which is a little bit alarming. And the Ducks are going to want to change that. Now, the things that have hurt Will Stein's offense are tough zone coverage defenses, which Greg Schiano is a defensive master. So he's going to throw some things at the Ducks that Ohio State has success at, Indiana has success at, and Rutgers doesn't necessarily do on a day in and day out basis. But because they've been hurt by it, you should absolutely do it. Oregon should probably try to win with a little bit of tempo. And most importantly, not just balance, get back to running the football. Now, in the Indiana game, Oregon threw the ball about 40, they called about 41 pass plays. They only ended up throwing the ball on 34 of those plays because of whether it's sacks or whether it is, runs that get tackled behind the line of scrimmage as well. But they called over 40 run plays, and they only had 21 run plays to the running backs. That is not the type of balance that this Oregon offense wants or it needs. And if an Oregon fan is going to be looking for, whether it is Jordan Davidson, whether it's De'Aaron Hill, whether it is Noah Whittington or Jaden Lamar, somebody to take the majority of the carries. So we're talking, 15, 18 carries for one guy. And then other guys can get some spell rushes as well. And then you're going to be looking to get the ball to DeCorey Moore, their star freshman wide receiver. You want to make sure that you get Gary Bryant Jr. involved, Jeremiah McClellan, and most importantly, your tight end Kenyan Sadiq, who's still under 20 catches on the season, and he's one of the best wide receivers / tight ends in all of college football. Now, on the Rutgers side, their defense, it is scrappy. And they actually have a +1 turnover ratio and a time of possession battle win on the entire season. Now, their DB, Jet Elad, he is their activity leader because he has a team high in tackles and in interceptions. And they have been vulnerable to explosive passing attacks. Look at Washington last week. Their quarterback, Damon Williams, he had over 500 yards of total offense. He ran for over he passed for over 400 yards, and then he ran for over 130 yards as well. That is absolute domination. So if you are Oregon, this is the perfect game and perfect opportunity for your offense to get right. This Rutgers team has given up 309 passing yards per game, and this defense has bent and bent and bent. Now, if Oregon, if they can clean up their protection in terms of what the quarterback is seeing and where his first reads actually are and not where he thinks that they are, they will have a shot to put up major points in this game. Now let's look at this Rutgers offense versus the Oregon Ducks defense, because things travel, because their numbers have been efficient coming into this season. Rutgers quarterback Athan Kaliakmanis is almost at 1,800 yards on the season, 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And the dude has a legit jump ball partner in Ethan Strong, who has 537 yards on the season. And then you got Antoine Raymond, their running back, 560 rushing yards on the season. And this is where they get a lot of balance. So this Oregon defense is going to be challenged by Rutgers offense. And Oregon's linebacker crew is where they need to be completely more dominant, especially in the run game. And then in the pass game, they have to be aware and in space and not allow digs and crossers and everything else. Because Oregon's, obviously they're stout on the defensive front. This Oregon linebacker crew of Bryce Betcher, who's leading the team in tackles, Jerry Mixon as well, the team interception leader, they are going to be tested. And the question is, can their speed and physicality turn Rutgers over, first of all, to get some turnovers? And then the second thing is, are they going to be able to get them, when they get into the red zone, get them to take 3s instead of 7s? Because that is where the Ducks have struggled this year, is in red zone defense. Now let's talk about the X factors. For Oregon, it is going to be pass protection and early run down efficiency. Run the damn ball, because the Ducks offense, it hums when Dante Moore is above 8 yards per attempt, and they live in 2nd and 5. And when they are running the football at a high level, that is going to change the entire mentality of this team, because the goal is not just to be good now. The goal is to be good when you're playing in the end of November, trying to get a playoff spot. And then when you get into the playoffs, you want to be playing your best. Now, on the Rutgers side, their whole thing is their X factor, get explosive chunk plays to their wide receiver Strong, plus their quarterback run. That is going to give them an opportunity to keep the Ducks honest. And then potentially steal some possessions with their top edge rusher, whether it's a strip sack, interception, whatever, forcing them into a bad decision. That is going to be it. Now, for my prediction in this game, I am going to take the Ducks minus 15.5, and I am going to take them to outright win this game as well, because this game is huge for both teams and the setup for the rest of the season, because Oregon after this game has Wisconsin, and then they're at Iowa. And then Rutgers, this is the difference between them going to a bowl game or not, because they got, after this game, Purdue and Illinois as well. So you guys make sure that you guys keep watching. Like, subscribe, get notifications, and tell a friend about the show. Peace out. Catch you guys later.